In less than 10 days, the citizens of the Commonwealth of Virginia will choose its next governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and every member of the House of Delegates here in the state. But the stakes are much higher than just Virginia. We'll talk about it coming up in the show. It's Save the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Claville, and we'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Sunday here in Hampton Roads, Virginia, on the campus of Norfolk State University at WNSB, the new sound of Hot 91, the soul of VA. It's Save the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Claville. We thank you so much for being a great supporter of the Spartan Nation. And I want to give a congratulations to Coach O and the men's football team as they traveled up to Washington, D.C. during Howard University's homecoming and delivered them an L. So we got our first MEAC win to start it off. We're on a major winning streak. We're 5-2, I believe, here on the season. And it doesn't look as if there's no stopping us now. So Coach O has come right in from Southern University, my alma mater, and picked up right where he left off in the SWAC here in the MEAC. He is definitely blazing a trail and laying a new chapter in the great championship history here at Norfolk State University. We had a huge following up there. I was there, my family, we were there. Absolutely phenomenal environment, great game all the way across. So again, congratulations to Coach O and the men's football team. Also, I want to say again, thank you to the Spartan Nation for being a supporter of WNSB, the Center for African American Public Policy, and here, Stay the Water. Thank you so much for all that you do for the university. Thank you for all that you do for just here to make sure that we are the best that we can be in supporting the vision and the work of our seventh president, Dr. J, who we refer to affectionately as, and all things that are great. Because, again, this is a great institution, great students, great faculty, administration, great alumni all across the country and the world. So, here in the month of October, what we've been doing, and it's become a tradition here, we have what we call the conversation with the candidates. It's election season. So here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, one great thing about the Commonwealth is that we have an election every year. And every election is extremely important. We've got our producer here, Marvin Folks, also known as DJ Scandalous, who you can hear here on WNSB. We talk about these topics off air before we come on. And I'm telling you, it is getting extremely exciting what this election is bringing. A lot of issues to the forefront, a lot of people out asking questions, getting engaged in a democratic process, which is what we want. Signs everywhere. That's right. You go all around the city, especially at City Hall, where you can vote now. And we're talking about, where you can vote, how you can vote, what's available and so forth in this show, because we're going to talk about, that coming up in the show. We're going to give you information about where you can go vote, the times and so forth, and look at the ballots here in the city of Norfolk. Look at the ballots. What's on the ballot, who's on the ballot, what you're going to be voting for, who the candidates that you can vote for, and what are the issues where you can make your decision. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to talk about what's at stake here in the Commonwealth. Because, listen, we've got some major hitters who are coming to the Commonwealth, a lot of surrogates that are coming here on the national scene that are stomping here on the campaign trail for each candidate. Each candidate is across the board. And there's a message that's out there, that they're trying to get to their voters and trying to get to the new voters. But it's just not for this election. but it's for the election coming up in 2022. And guess what? Also in 2024. That's right. We got another presidential election coming up, and the conversation is starting. The conversation is starting. So we're going to dive right into it in just a moment. I do have a couple of announcements that I want to give to you. Great opportunities here for students, great opportunities here for our partners that are located here in Norfolk. Now, the African American Leadership Society, or the United Way of Southampton Roads, today is hosting a Soulful Sunday in the park with raw jazz. Today from 2 to 5 at Mount Trashmore Park. Now, this is a great opportunity for you to get involved with the African American Leadership Society with this afternoon of jazz. Excuse me. It's a family-friendly event hosted by Wavy TV's Anita Blanton. It will also feature the musical stylings of raw jazz, delectable tastes for some of the area's top Black-owned food trucks. So you don't want to miss this. You can register at UnitedWaySHR.org. That's UnitedWaySHR.org/jazz, actually /jazz. So you can go out, or you can just go right out there. And that is today from 2 to 5 at Mount Trashmore Park. You know, the United Way has been a very good partner here with Stay the Water, especially with the new vice president that they brought on in order to lead this effort with the African American Leadership Society and its equity and diversity initiatives. And just in general, the United Way has a great history in this area. But Joseph Brooks has been a good colleague here with us, and there's a lot of great things happening. So go out and enjoy yourself if you can. And another opportunity through the United Way made through the USAA grant funds is a STEM scholarship program. That's right, STEM scholarship. Now, for all you students and parents, you want to hear this. To increase the opportunities for Black students and reducing the racial and gender gaps in STEM, right now, if you are a high school student who is a senior in high school that's planning on going to college and majoring in any STEM discipline, you have the opportunity to apply and be awarded up to a $10,000 scholarship towards your education. You heard me, up to $10,000. And again, all you have to do is go to their website. Again, UnitedWaySHR.org. That's UnitedWaySHR for SouthamptonRoads.org. And you can apply for this scholarship. This is a great opportunity for new Spartans that are coming into the university to help defray that cost of education. Trust me, education is expensive. You know, we have children who are in college as well, and also have taken advantage of these opportunities. So our very own Alicia McLean, who's Associate Dean of Science and Engineering Technology here at Norfolk State University, serves on this advisory panel. And this is a great partnership that we have here with United Way. But it's not just for Norfolk State. But any university that you go to, you can, if you fit this criteria, you can have a major impact in defraying the cost of your education. Applications are open October 1st, and you have to submit all applications and everything by November 30th. So we're going to announce this on a consistent basis just to let you know it's out there. Make sure you apply. Up to $10,000. Come on. That's right. Marvin, he's looking at me. He's a graduate student at cybersecurity that's graduating, this December. Congratulations. And he understands the cost of this education and what up to $10,000 can do for you. So thank you so much for indulging me to give you those two great opportunities. And again, don't pass it up if you can. So once again, this is election season. Election season. It is election season. This November 2nd. November 2nd, Marvin. That's right. November 2nd, less than 10 days now, will be the general election for the top offices. Yeah, less than 10 days. That's right. The top offices across the state. All right. So November 3rd. at 12:01, after all the ballots have been counted and so forth, if there's not a recount or a challenge, but nevertheless, we're not going to go there just yet. Right. That's right. So you got this Tuesday coming up, and then you got another Tuesday on that Tuesday. But November 2nd is the day where we will elect our next governor. We will elect our next lieutenant governor. We will elect our next attorney general. We will elect the next 100 members of the House of Delegates to serve in the state legislature. That's huge. That's monumental. Because what we have the opportunity to do, we have the opportunity to elect as governor a former governor who can serve another term. Or we have the opportunity to elect someone who's never been elected to public office but has founded, co-founded, and managed a multi-million-dollar corporation. That's at the top of the ticket. Also, for lieutenant governor, we have the opportunity to elect, and we will make history, okay? It doesn't matter who is elected. History will be made. We have the opportunity to elect the first woman of color, first woman and woman of color, lieutenant governor of the Commonwealth. Absolutely amazing, okay? When we talk about progress, when we talk about where we've come from, when we talk about looking forward, you know, this election has all of that in it. And then also, we have an opportunity to elect the current attorney general who's this will be his third term that he'll serve and has a possibility of being probably the longest serving attorney general in the Commonwealth's history if it continues this trajectory. Or we have the opportunity to elect someone here from Hampton Roads to serve as attorney general. Now, for the first time in a long time, recent history, on one side of the ticket, you have all three candidates for governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general who are all from Hampton Roads. That's right, all from Hampton Roads. Think about that. I mean, just all of the nuances about this election, all of the first times about this election. I mean, it's extremely fascinating. And even for lieutenant governor, I want to go back to that, you know, where we have an opportunity. We will elect the first woman of color, but also we will elect the first immigrant to this particular office or individuals who come from first generation immigrant families. Again, this is what when we talk about America. This is what America looks like. You know, this is what we were fighting for. This is what we've looked for. This is what we've talked about. This is what we wanted to do across the board. This is the America that we have all wanted to see. Now, again, we're going to talk about issues and what side of the aisle you're on and all that good stuff in just a moment. But I'm just looking at the big picture, just a big picture here in the Commonwealth. And that's why all eyes are on the Commonwealth. In the second half hour, we're going to talk about why all eyes in the country are on the Commonwealth of Virginia as it relates to the next year in 2024. That's right. But hold on. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Well, I want to go to this upcoming election. So the polls will be open from 7 to 8 o'clock here in the Commonwealth across the board for you to elect, for you to cast your vote. But guess what? You don't have to wait till November 2nd on Tuesday. And also keep in mind, for state offices, it's a state holiday. Election day is a state holiday. A lot of employers, private employers, are giving opportunities for you to go vote and make it easier for you to go vote, right? Also, polls stay open longer so that those of us who are getting off work, that are caught up in traffic here in Hampton Roads, and look, bridge tunnel, that's all I got to say, all right? Anything can happen on any given day in the bridge tunnel. But they're giving us opportunity to go to the polls later, cast your vote, and you're good. But you don't have to wait till Tuesday. That's right. Because guess what? Early voting started Friday, September 17th. That's right. Over a month ago, more specifically, almost 40 days ago, early voting started here in the Commonwealth where you can now go to your local voter registration office or voter where you go vote here in Norfolk is down at City Hall. You can go vote in person during the times of their business hours. Now, starting this Sunday, there's a big Souls to the Poll also on the 30th. But in addition to that, you can vote Monday through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Monday through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can do that right now. So listen, if you're at church, if you're getting out of church, you can go straight to your local voter registration office and go vote. You can do that. This is an opportunity to do it. Also, you could have voted yesterday on Saturday, and you can vote this Saturday coming up. That's right. You can vote this Saturday. You could do it. Make it a family affair. Make it one of those things where, hey, we can go in as a family, go vote. I would take my sons, and my wife and I will take our sons with us to the voting booth. We'll give them the sticker, say I voted, and we'll show them how to bubble in this and feed the ballot through the feeder and so forth, see how it's counted. That's right. Yeah, you can vote, right now. Oh, yeah. So Marvin Teller, our oldest son, yes. So at 18, you can vote. But that voter registration, hey, here it is. You've turned this age, time to register to vote. Just like getting your kids their library cards. This is something that you can do as a family affair. So now you make it a priority within your family. You make it something that's nice, something that's wholesome, something that's you're driving into them. It's their civic duty. It's their civic duty to ensure that they get out and make sure that they are voting. Right now, we're talking about the election, where you can go vote here on WNSB, the new sound of Hot 91, the soul of VA, here on the campus of Norfolk State University. This is Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville, and we're breaking down, the election itself. This entire month, we've had conversation with the candidates. We've had individuals from the state legislature who are running for re-election. Also, we had individuals from Super Ward 7 here in the city of Norfolk who were calling in, that called in to have a conversation about why you should vote for them. And in this particular show, we're talking about, breaking down the ballots. We're going over each of the ballots to show you what's on there, where you can go vote. And in the second half hour, we're going to talk about why this election is so important. But you know what? If you want to give us your thoughts, go to our social media at hotwnsbonline.org. Let us know. Go to our social media and let us know your thoughts, who you're voting for if you like, what issues are important to you. Or guess what? You can call in now, 757-823-9110. 757-823-9110. Let us know, what's on your mind, what's the important issues to you, who you're going to vote for if you'd like to, or even if you're not going to vote. We want to know why as well, because maybe we can convince you that, hey, maybe you should go out there and cast your vote. But every citizen should vote, because for African Americans, for black citizens of this country, for women, we know what it's like for that vote to be withheld from us. We know, we've seen through history, people die. People go through dehumanizing events just so they can cast their ballot to say, I want this person to represent me. So it is our civic duty and our opportunity. But as I stated before, you can go out and vote now, all the way up to October 30th for early voting. The offices are open. The last day of voting in person is this Saturday, October 30th at 5 p.m. That's right. Go vote, vote often, vote early. But starting today, October 24th on Sunday, well, actually started yesterday, October 23rd, you can vote Saturday, Sunday, all the way to Saturday. Go to the polls and vote. If you're in church, your church group, before you go out to dinner, say, hey, let's go to the polls and vote. And then we can walk into the restaurant or walk into the store or walk in wherever we're going to our home with our I voted sticker on our lapel, right? You can do it. It's a great opportunity. So also, for those of you who wanted to request a mail-in ballot, you should have done that by Friday, October 22nd, and make sure that it is received. Turn it in. Got to make sure that it goes in before you can bring it the day of the election, but it's got to go in. It's got to go in. Make sure you mail it in, or you could drop it off. You can actually drop it off. Now, that's where you can vote. Here in the city of Norfolk, you can go vote early down at City Hall. You can go vote right now. It's not too far from the university, Norfolk State University, not too far from downtown, not too far. It's not too far from anywhere. It's right there in the center of downtown. Go vote often. All right, so let's take a look at, see who's on the ballot here in the city of Norfolk. And we're going to concentrate on Super Ward 7, okay? So if you go to, you can take a look at the sample ballots. If you go to the city of Norfolk, norfolk.gov, or you can go to elections.virginia.gov, and you could type in a search sample ballot, and it'll bring up a link where you can take a look at the sample ballots where you can go and vote. And I want to say something very quickly again about absentee ballot or voting in person, because I think this is very important, especially when we talk about what's at stake in this election. We didn't always have absentee, no excuse voting. I mean, you had to go down the list and say, it was very strict, right? I mean, you basically had to not be in the country almost, or some major issue for you to absentee vote, no excuse, right? But early voting now was made possible by the legislature that we have that came in not several years ago under the gubernatorial regime that we have now, administration, I should say, and made a lot of changes to our democracy, making sure that all persons have an opportunity to cast their ballot. And that's what this is all about, making sure that we have an opportunity to participate in casting our ballots. Now, we've talked on this show, we've done it, about a tale of two states. We talked about the Commonwealth of Virginia going in one direction and the state of Georgia going in another. Two former Confederate states, two very influential states. And we see how one state is making it, providing more access to the ballot box, and another state is providing less access to the ballot box. So it shows you what's at stake in this election, not just here in the Commonwealth, but across the country. But I wanted to make that statement because we didn't always have this, right? We didn't always have this, but we now have the opportunity to go vote. And if you have absentee ballots, you could drop them off. You can drop them off up at Berkeley Recreation Center at Liberty Street, Jordan Newby Library at Dorchester Avenue, Lambert's Point Community Center at West 42nd Street, or Mary D. Pretlow Anchor Branch Library at West Ocean View Avenue. So you can drop those ballots off there. All right. Now, let's take a look and see who's on the ballot. So again, we're concentrating primarily on Super Ward 7. Primarily on Super Ward 7 because that's the city council seat that's open. And that is what we've done on this show when we talked to several of the city council candidates. This is what I believe to be the heartbeat of the city of Norfolk, Super Ward 7. It encompasses the traditional areas. It encompasses the heartbeat of the city. It encompasses those areas that have some difficulty now. But a lot of historical traditional areas, when you talk about the city of Norfolk, there's some connection that every single family that is from this area has with Super Ward 7. Whether you went to school in the area, you transacted business in the area, you worked in the area, or you live in the area, you got to go through Super Ward 7. So we're going to concentrate on that ballot. Now, in the city of Norfolk, we have two, think about it. We have two ballots. Two sides to the ballot. So you have page 1 of 2 and 2 of 2. Make sure you flip that ballot over. Make sure you flip it over before you turn it in and vote for every candidate that you want to vote for in an area. So let's take a look at it. Again, this is I'm at norfolk.gov website, taking a look at the sample ballot that they have available. At governor, we do have Republican Glenn Youngkin, Democrat Terry McAuliffe, and the third-party candidate, Princess L. Blanding. For Lieutenant Governor, Winsome Sears, the Republican candidate, Hala Ayala, the Democratic candidate, and then for Attorney General, Jason Myers, Republican candidate, and Mark Heron, Democratic candidate. So those are going to be on every single ballot in the Commonwealth. You're going to have those at the top. That's what we call top of the ballot. Exactly, statewide. That's right, Marvin. Across this entire state, no matter where you vote, Northern Virginia, Southwest Virginia, Richmond, Charlottesville, Hampton Roads, you're going to see those three at the top of the ballot. So you make your choice. Who do you want to vote for? We've gone over each of their platforms. You can go back and take a listen to our previous shows in the month of October on our YouTube channel. And you can listen to how we broke down every single campaign, the issues that are important to them, their platform, based upon their website and based upon what we have seen throughout advertisement. Now, let me tell you, in the last several weeks, the advertising campaign, the political campaigns have skyrocketed, and they're not nice anymore, right? And they're pretty direct, pretty forward, and they're going to disappear after November 2nd. All right. So, but you're seeing them over and over and over again now. But that's the top of the ticket. So the question becomes, who do you want to be your next governor? Who do you want to be your next lieutenant governor? And who do you want to be your next attorney general? Now, we also, in the city of Norfolk, we will have only one candidate for Commonwealth's attorney, and that's Raman Fadahi. Now, Raman Fadahi is currently an assistant Commonwealth's attorney. We've had, in the Democratic primary here on State of Water in the month of June, we had all three candidates that came on the show to talk about their platform. That's right. We actually four of them. They came on. Not only that, but for our community effort for Save the Water, we went into the community, partnered with a local church, and we actually facilitated a forum for the candidates, the Democratic candidate for Commonwealth's attorney. That was significant because here, whoever won the Democratic primary by default wins the general election. So unless there are more write-in candidates for the same person than the candidate for the Democratic slate, which is Raman Fadahi, then Raman Fadahi will be your next Commonwealth's attorney. Also, for sheriff, we have here in the city of Norfolk, we have Sheriff Joe Barrett, who's been sheriff here for many, many years. Sheriff Barron, and he has, the other candidate is Neil Bradley Jr. These are your two candidates for sheriff. Now, Commissioner of Revenue, we have several candidates here. We have Blythe Scott, we have Adam Goldberg, and Nicole Sanders. Now, these individuals are vying for Commissioner of Revenue. And we broke down and talked about what Commissioner of Revenue can and Commissioner of Revenue cannot do. So it's very limited because also for treasurer, we have, again, incumbent and the only candidate on the slate, Dawn Hester. Now, Dawn Hester is she's a seasoned civic engager. She's a public servant. She served in the state legislature. She served now here, and she's given her life to public service. And one thing I like many things about Dawn Hester just as a person, but one thing I really like to see her do every year, she walks the NSU homecoming parade every year. I mean, she walks out there. So a lot of people are riding on the riding in the cars, which is fine. We know our band's marching and so forth, but Dawn Hester walks that parade route every single year, and it's great to see her out there. But there's a difference between the Commissioner of Revenue and also the Treasurer. So make sure you understand what the Commissioner of Revenue does and cast your vote. And then for Super Ward 7, we have six members, candidates who are running. We have Jason Inga, who also appeared here on Save the Water. We had Philip Hawkins Jr. We have Jackie Hope Glass, who also appeared on State of the Water, Frederick McRae, Michael Muhammad, and also the current Honorable Danica Royster, who fulfilled the seat or the term that was unexpired by Angela Graves, who is a delegate now serving in the House here in the Commonwealth. So, again, that's your ballot when you take a look at Super Ward 7. And there's a couple others. I'm going to take a look at what we call the various districts and House districts when we come back. But again, we'll be back in just a moment after these announcements. And we're going to finish up the ballots, but we're also going to talk about in the second half hour why this race in the Commonwealth of Virginia is so important, what's at stake, not just for us, but across the country. We'll be back in just a minute.
Program support sponsored in part by ALW Entertainment. It's a joyful holiday experience, Sunday, January 2nd at the Hampton Coliseum, featuring Marvin Sapp.
Never would have made it.
The Clark Sisters. Charles Jenkins. And Leandra Johnson and Ricky Dillard and New G. For tickets, Ticketmaster.com. It's a joyful holiday experience, Sunday, January 2nd at 4 p.m. at the Hampton Coliseum.
Programming on Hot 91 is supported by G5 Events and Ride With Me Entertainment. Presenting the Michael Blackson Comedy Show.
Talk about Stevie Wonder sees me every day. What do you mean by that?
Michael Blackson on stage, live.
You look like a foreigner. They want to see your license. They say, where's your green card? I'm from Philly, man. You know what I mean? I'm Michael Blackson. Peace, I'm out.
The Michael Blackson Comedy Show. Sunday, October 31st, 8 p.m. at Norfolk's Chrysler Hall. For more information, Ticketmaster.com. Michael Blackson on stage, live.
Welcome back. This is State of the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville. Thank you again for joining us here on this beautiful Sunday of October 24th in the year of 2021. We're on the campus of Norfolk State University, the Spartan Nation, at the new sound of Hot 91, the soul of VA at WNSB. You know, we're coming off a great homecoming win that we provided to ourselves a week ago, but also provided a loss to Howard University this weekend. So we want to congratulate again our Coach O, and the men's football team, doing great things, 5-2. Got a great opportunity to go undefeated in the MEAC, and we got Morgan State who's coming here this weekend. So continuing to work hard and make sure that we're being represented in the SWAC MEAC championship in the city of ATL. So we'll be there with bells on. Also, for this entire month of October, you know, this is our conversation with the candidate and election series. So today what we're doing is first half hour, we talked about where you can go vote, what's on the ballot here in the city of Norfolk. We specifically paying attention to the city of Norfolk, but we also gave information of where you can find your place where you can go vote. You can go to elections.virginia.gov. You can also go to your city websites. We're looking at norfolk.gov. Norfolk.gov, we're going to our city website and finding out all the information where you can go drop off your ballots. If you ordered an absentee ballot, you can go vote early. You can vote every single day starting yesterday, the 23rd, today, the 24th, souls to the polls with churches, Monday through Friday, and also this Saturday, October 30th, coming up. You can go early vote. So we're giving that valuable information, and we're also going through each candidate as it relates to the ballot, and we're focusing on Super Ward 7. Let you know who's on the ballot, who's at the top of the ticket, and in your district, your legislative district, who you're voting for. So in the second half hour, we're also going to talk about the importance of this race, the importance of this election for the Commonwealth, the issues that we're facing here in the Commonwealth, but just as important, across the country. Midterm elections 2022. And yes, you heard it right. Presidential election 2024. Who may run? Who may come back? Yeah, Marvin had to step out of the studio for that one for a second. But we got our producer here, Marvin, folks also known as DJ Scandalous, who you can hear on WNSB. You know, we talk about these issues all the time, but we're going to delve right back into it and look at the ballots because I want to talk about where this race is and the importance of it. So focusing on Super Ward 7, keep in mind you have the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, also the Commonwealth's attorney, the candidates for sheriff, commissioner of revenue, and treasurer, and again, the candidates for the member of city council who are running to fulfill the unexpired term to end December 31st, 2024. Now, if you're located in member House District 100, you have the opportunity here in the city of Norfolk to vote for the candidates of Robert Blockton, who's a Republican candidate, or Finale Norton, who's a Democratic candidate. If you are located in Legislative District, House District 89, you have the opportunity to vote for Jay Jones, the Democratic candidate, or Hans Copeland, the Republican candidate. We had Jay Jones on the show a couple of weeks ago, along with Delegate Cliff Hayes, who's in Chesapeake, but, again, a phenomenal example of what an advocate alum for the Spartan Nation is for our institution, along with Lamont Bagby, who's out of the Richmond area, who serves as chairman of the Virginia Legislative Black Caucus, and Candy King, who's a newcomer but doing phenomenal things in Prince Williams County, who is fulfilling, who's running again, and who actually ran for the unexpired term of one of the Jennifer Carroll Foy, who ran for governor, Democratic slate for governor there. So you have an opportunity to vote here in the 89th district for Jay Jones or Hans Copeland. And then finally, if you're in the 90th district, you have the opportunity to vote for the Democratic candidate, Angela Williams Graves, who again won that seat and left the city council seat of Super Ward 7, in which we're also voting for that seat, okay? Or you can vote for the Republican candidate, Sylvia Bryan. So that's where you are in the city of Norfolk. And if you're, the 79th district also. So you have the 79th, the 89th, the 90th, and also the 100th district. You have an opportunity to vote for Ladarius Clark, the Democratic candidate, or Lawrence Mason, the Republican candidate. So we got a great opportunity here to really put some great candidates in the office to continue to do great things for the Commonwealth. But it just doesn't stop with voting. You got to get engaged. You got to make sure that you're out there. Got to make sure that the candidates understand what your issues are. Got to make sure that they understand how you want them to help govern your communities. Okay, it's just not what they want, but it's about what you believe is the best thing for your community, because the people are the voice. So let's get into these issues. I want to go to take a look at the polls first. All right. We have the saying in business, numbers don't lie. We can say how we feel about certain things and this and that, but numbers do not lie. So as of October 20th, and we're taking a look at the NBC poll, NBC News, and we'll take a look at another poll in just a moment. But for the NBC News, the Virginia governor's race, a new poll shows that the governors are evenly split at 46%. Yeah, dead heat. It's almost in a dead. Now, keep in mind that there are other polls that do show where former Governor Terry McAuliffe is in the lead, but it's within what's called the margin of error, right? So he is ahead for the most part, but there is a margin of error, which means that in that particular situation, it really depends upon various factors, in which if that margin of Terry McAuliffe being ahead will actually hold. One of those major factors is voting, getting out to vote. I mean, that's really the major factor. I believe that this election is going to basically boil down to who is going to be, right? Who's going to be out there voting for their base, right? So if the base gets out and vote, then that's who's going to win this race. You're not going to get a lot of new voters voting. In other words, voter registration and all that. You got a lot of new voters doing voter registration of 2020. and those individuals voted in the election, and you have a lot of individuals and a lot of things happen with the pandemic and so forth. But if you're already registered to vote, those are really your key voters in my analysis. This is my analysis of this election of who I believe is going to win this race. So it really depends on how do you get your voters to the polls. The Democrats are really relying upon the African-American vote. They're really relying upon the youth vote. But here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, if the African-Americans turn out and vote at the high numbers that they have voted for in the last several gubernatorial elections, the last several presidential elections, then historically the Democratic candidate wins, period. The African-American vote is the most decisive factor in determining statewide elections. I want to say that again. The African-American vote, according to the last several elections, is the most decisive factor in determining the election. So if we're the most decisive factor, then that vote is very valuable. That means don't give it away for cheap. But we'll talk about that later. But I just want to make sure we point that out to show how this is extremely important. Now, the Monmouth University survey released on Wednesday of last week showed the race at a dead even among registered voters at 46-46. Now, this is a shift of 5 percentage points. That is huge lead that McCullough enjoyed in the not last summer, we're talking about last month's Monmouth poll. We're talking about in September. Former Governor Terry McCullough had a 5-point advantage. That is a huge shift in just 30 days. And what ended up happening, according to this poll, is that Republicans really expanded their enthusiasm advantage. Now, we're going to get to that in just a moment, but I want to stick with the numbers very quickly. Now, according to this article in NBC News, the biggest swing came from independents, who now are breaking for Glenn Youngkin. 48% to 39%. I want that to soak in. 48% to 39%. That is a major swing. When we start to talk about, where this enthusiasm is. Now, we're going to take a look at the issues. So we pinpointed who the voters are and where the swing is coming from for the voters and who's going to be the deciding factor in this election. Once again, African Americans. Okay? But now I want to get to the issues in just a moment. But 48-39. Now, this was after they gave McCullough an edge in the September survey. But McCullough's advantage among women also shrunk from a 14-point lead last month in September to guess what? A 4-point lead. Say that again. Glenn Youngkin has garnered a 9% advantage at 48 to 39% over Terry McCullough, according to NBC survey. And the Monmouth poll that came out that shows us in a dead heat from September to October. And also, Glenn Youngkin has, Terry McCullough's advantage with the women voters has shrunk from 14% to 4% just last month. Now, why is this the case? According to Patrick Murray, director of Monmouth University Polling Institute, suburban women, especially in Northern Virginia, have been crucial to the sizable victories Democrats have enjoyed in the Commonwealth since 2017. However, he says their support is not registered at the same level this time around. This is due partly to a shift in the key issues important to these voters and partly to dampen enthusiasm among the party faithful. So, what are those key issues? Now, according to the Judy Watson Center for Public Policy here at Christopher Newport, that since they polled these races in late August, Democrats leads have shrunk, and the contest for governor and lieutenant governor now stand within the survey's margin of error. They also find among 24 other polls, Fox News, CBS News, Emerson College, these all tell the similar story. So Democrats are quick to note, for instance, that the Mama poll showed a narrowing race that led up to 2017, with the final survey showing Democratic Ralph Northam ahead by a single point, but Northam ended up winning by 9 percentage points. So that is true. But there was a big push, as I mentioned before, of getting out African Americans to vote. So the biggest factor in this election is going to be the turnout of African American voters. They are the determining factor of who's going to win this election. Once again, we're having our October conversation with the candidates election and election series show here on Save the Ward. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville. We're breaking down the election here for the city of Norfolk in the first half hour. In the second half hour, we're taking a look at the issues and the polls and what really matters moving forward and how important this election it is, not just for the Commonwealth of Virginia, but also for the entire country, the midterm elections, and yes, 2024. I'm going to talk about that in the last 10 minutes of the show. But we want to hear your thoughts. Again, go to our social media at WNSBonline.org. That's at WNSBonline.org. Go to our social media. Let us know who you're voting for, what issues are important to you. And if you're not voting, tell us why. But hopefully after you listen to this series of shows, you'll understand it's important to cast your vote. It's not only something that we fought, bled, and died for, but it's our civic duty as Americans and to ensure that our democracy continues to live on for the generations to come. Well, that's a very good question. 757-823-9110. Marvin Folks, DJ Scanlon here on WNSB asks, are campaign ads swaying voters? Well, that's a good question. You know, because elections are emotional in large part. Now, again, don't take offense to that when I make that statement, because keep in mind, why would someone pay $1 million for a 30-second spot, to give you this very powerful imagery of why you should vote for them or why you shouldn't vote for that candidate, and dark clouds and flamethrowers and automatic weapons and all these doomsday scenarios if you don't vote for an individual, right? And then all of a sudden the light comes if you vote for this individual, right? So, yeah, ads do sway people. But, just like, you see that new item that you want to try to say, try this drink, or whatever the case may be, or this sandwich or this food, and you see it, glistening, and you're like, oh, I got to get that. Well, they spend millions of dollars advertising that for you to say, I'm going to drive and get that soda or that drink or that meal, whatever the case may be. So you're exactly right. Imagery is important. Messaging is important. Those who are in media, we're in media. Those of us in radio that are in television, social media management is a huge business. Public relations, we all understand. Image is everything. So you're exactly right. So with that being the case, let's look at what's at stake. So taking another look, and this is an older article. When I say older, it's only a couple of weeks older. But when we start to take a look at what issues are really major in this election, this election, this article, again, going to NBC News. So you can go to NBCnews.com. And this is by Chuck Todd. And when we start to, they say that Virginia's gubernatorial race is now less than a month away. Here's what's at stake, issue-wise, for both parties as we look ahead to 2022. They say, one, does COVID remain a key rallying force for Democrats? Well, here we're talking about vaccines, right? We're talking about opening the economy back up and who's all for it, who's not. So what we found was that, according to McCullough, he said day one as governor, mask offs and no vaccination requirements. All right. But at the same time, Youngkin countered with, I, in fact, have asked everyone in Virginia to please get the vaccine, but I don't think we should mandate it. So the question really is around mandate. What are we going to do? So Democrats are leaning into vaccine mandates and masks in the California recall. And here we know that they're doing the same in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So with this, I believe that this may not be a major issue moving forward in this particular race because people are out. Rest is right. It's done. People are getting vaccines. We understand the value of it. We've seen death. Everyone's seen death at a certain point in our families or friends or maybe, our close loved ones have experienced it. It's real. COVID is real. And vaccines are there. They're effective. We're over a year out from vaccines being administered and people are feeling great. Boosters are coming. The mask extremely helps. Exactly. My family, we're in line for our boosters when it becomes available. Family members we get from 5 all the way up to 100 years old. You can get vaccinated. So I don't think it's going to be a major issue moving forward because I think the vaccines are going to work and people are making their decision to say, hey, we got to do this. And when you see people who are on their deathbeds saying, I wish I would have took the vaccine, it's too late for them, but they're giving a message to everyone else out there. The other issue that's getting a lot of steam across the country is abortion. We see what the country of Texas, it's almost like a separate country almost, but we see what the state of Texas is doing and other states are following suit in limiting various access to abortion by time limits. Now, we understand the Supreme Court has provided a fundamental right to access to abortion. The issues around abortion now is how is it funded? Should it be funded by taxpayer dollars and access to it within certain time periods? In other words, first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, and the like. So these are the issues that are going to be surrounding the abortion issue. Not banning abortion, but these are the issues that are surrounding it. So the other issue is, can the GOP sidestep Trump? Well, let me tell you, you can't sidestep someone who's still pushing and guiding the Republican Party. I'm going to talk about that in just a few moments when we talk about 2024. But also, there's plenty talk about and this has been in the news. So there's still talk about what the Biden administration and the Democrats in Washington, the damage that they're doing, not passing or getting together on an infrastructure bill and reconciliation bill to move America forward. So right now, there are some individuals who have voted Democratic, and there are some on the side. Keep in mind, within each party, you have what's called moderates, and you have extremes. And you have different factions within those. And there are some that believe that, hey, there's a lot of promises given. Right now, you've got the power, you got the juice politically, you got to use it. I did a show about Mitch MCConnell, and I called him Judge McConnell because Mitch McConnell, like him, love him, or not like him, or not love him, you have to respect him being a tactician and using his political power when he's got it. They did everything they could to stack the Supreme Court with the candidates that they wanted, and they did. Did it with all within the rules, and when the rules didn't fit what they wanted to do, they changed the rules with the requisite number of votes that they need to change the rules. That's politics. That's part of the game. That's how it's played. There is some criticism that the Democrats are not playing that way. But at the end of the day, it's about ensuring that not just policies for your side, but policies for the whole country move forward in order to benefit from the bottom up, not just the top down. We got too many policies that benefit the top, and it doesn't get down to the ground level. But when we're in office, when you're able to create policy, you got to do it from the ground up to benefit those who are down there, working every day in the community, blue-collar workers that are living their best life and want to live their American dream. But then there's another factor, a key issue, where we're seeing this swing. We're looking at the economy, and again, that's on a national level, right? We really haven't seen the impact of high interest rates, the impact of fears of inflation. We know it's not going to be stagflation, but we're seeing with us reopening back up, we have a little hiccup. All right, this isn't going to last, But we got goods and goods that are out there, but we can't get them in to the country because of the lack of shortage of workers. Now, we're going to talk about economics in another show, post-COVID, the economy. All right, we're going to look at that in November and coming up to the end of the year in December, because that's a major issue. But that's one issue on the radar. But the main issue, and this is my analysis, the main issue that's dictating this election and will dictate 2022 and 2024 are schools, the school debate. If you take a look at what's going on across the country at school board meetings, what's going on across the country, here even in the Commonwealth, as relates to the discussion around what's taught in schools, K through 12, critical race theory, the mask mandates in school. Like I said, the mask mandates are kind of, that's something that I believe is not going to become a major issue because people understand what vaccines can do. And now that vaccines, the FDA has authorized vaccines for 5 through 11, I think around the holidays, Christmas time, before the new year starts, you're going to see a lot of parents say, hey, I want my child to get vaccinated, especially with us seeing, elementary school kids die of COVID, okay? Elementary school kids, middle school kids in the hospital on ventilators, high school kids, okay? I think this is, it's not going to be a major issue because we understand it. But when we start talking about what history should be taught in school and critical race theory, now we have an issue, a wedge that we're finding that one side can use in order to sway this election one way or the other. That's the galvanizing issue. So you see a lot of that pool in the suburbs. So when we talked about the suburban women now breaking toward Glenn Youngkin, when we talk about the independents now breaking toward Glenn Youngkin, that's a very important aspect of it, is schools. Because now you're not just you're unifying the parents within those homes that are now, going to vote for the same candidate. It was at one time we saw, especially in 2020, where it's a lot of suburban homes. We saw where the men broke heavy for former President Trump, and the women broke hard for now President Biden. But this school issue is galvanizing the families inside, and they're breaking for Glenn Youngkin. And that's why we see that this election is in a dead heat, 46-46. Now, I want us to take a look back in 2017. In 2017, keep in mind, Terry McAuliffe did not win a majority of the vote because we had 3 candidates in that election. He won a little bit over 47% of the vote. That's right, 47% of the vote. So right now, if we take a look at what's happening in the polls, Terry McAuliffe is actually polling at the same rate that he polled when he became governor. So he's right there and where he was, which is very interesting, very unique of what we see happening. So now, what will take this across the finish line? As I said before, the primary factor in this election is going to be who gets their base out to vote. And the African-American vote is essential to determining this race. Whoever wins this election is going to come down to who the African-American voter votes for. That's it. Your vote counts. Your vote is a major part in this particular race. And it really shows the value of our vote. It really shows the value of what we do as Virginians, what we do in the African American community, and how valued we are. So with that being the case, you want to make sure that your votes are valued. Your vote is valued across the board. Your vote is valued at a level that your issues are heard at the forefront. You want to make sure that you're out there, you're voting, and that people hear your vote. Well, listen, one thing that I do here, I hear our theme music. And that tells us one thing, our time is up. But I'm telling you, we love what we're doing here. We're so happy that you're supporting what we're doing. And we want to continue to give you the information so that you can make a more informed decision for your community, your homes, your city, your Commonwealth. This is State of Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville, where we bring movers, shakers, and policymakers to you, the community, to discuss issues that are important to you. Thank you again for joining us. Make sure you tune in every Sunday as we continue this selection series. God bless. Have a great week. See you next time.